Alright, it looks like the stream has gone live. Let me just go ahead and make sure that the chat is actually working, and then we'll go ahead and start with what we're going to be pretty much doing for the entirety of the stream, which is going to be Xiao. This entire stream is going to be just pure Xiao. Because of this, I do expect it to be a bit of a smaller stream, but nonetheless, it should be just as entertaining nonetheless. Let's see. Okay, so it looks like I can see the chat, no problem. Let me just go ahead and make sure that everything is okay on the streaming side, and we're gonna go ahead and go with this. Alright, it looks like everything is set up properly. Let me just... Oh, it's been that bad? It's sad to hear that. But yeah, we're just gonna have a little bit of fun today, analyzing Xiao, one of the upcoming character that we're gonna be getting in 1.3. And there's a lot to talk about this character. There's still a lot of things that we don't know with regards to Xiao, but we have seen a bit more of what Xiao can do, mainly because MiHoYo released a bit of a animated GIFs, basically, of Xiao using his abilities, and that's more than enough for me to get a big idea of how Xiao is going to be. There's still a lot of things that we have to test out. The most important part that we currently do not know about Xiao is does his jump count as a low plunge, or does it count as a high plunge? That is honestly going to be something that's going to affect Xiao very massively. The difference between the two is quite noticeable, and depending on the answer, his best attack might actually change. From what I can see, however, it does look like Xiao got a couple buffs with regards to his plunge attack. It seems like the damage has increased from the last time that I saw it. More than likely, the values that we see right now in Honey Genshin are going to be the values that we're going to be getting for release. I don't expect major changes to happen anymore. The character is about to be released right now. If we see anything super major, it's more than likely just going to be like cooldowns, or probably it, in all honesty. Cooldowns is the only thing that I can see going up or down one way or another. But yeah, with that out of the way, I can see everything now. I can see the full chat, so we should have no problems. Let me go ahead and put the music back up. Up the volume a little bit. There we go. And here we go. Xiao. Xiao. You make a good point. The scaling on Albedo Z did get doubled on release. So, will that happen to Xiao? Probably not. His scaling is already pretty high as it is. We might see a couple modifier changes when it comes to the burst. That is probably the only thing that I can realistically see going up. I do expect Limnastatic Wind Cycling, the elemental skill, to go down a little bit. I think right now it's currently sitting at a 10-second cooldown. But what I expect it's gonna finish, it's probably gonna be like 8 seconds. But that might not happen, that might happen. That is the most realistic change that I see, though. That's my prediction at the very least. It might not happen. But yeah, Xiao. Where do we even start with this character? This is a character that pretty much everybody has been waiting for since the beta of the game. I know that when I started playing this game and I looked at upcoming characters, I knew that Xiao was going to be one of the characters that I wanted. I still want Xiao. Am I going to get him? Probably not. I do not have the Primogems for him. But that does not mean that you shouldn't try to get him. Xiao is looking like he's going to be one of the stronger characters when it comes to DPS. I don't think he's going to be on the same level as somebody like Klee, but he clearly is going to be very similar to what we've seen from characters like Gan Yu, and he is definitely going to be in the top tier when it comes to DPS potential. One of the things about Xiao that makes him pretty special is that he has a very unique conversion in that he does anemo damage whenever he uses his burst. That is the main thing that Xiao is known for, this particular conversion that allows him to swirl constantly. Now, swirl is not an ideal elemental reaction for a DPS character to have. Out of the entire bunch though, it is one of the more preferable ones. When it comes to infusions, really the only infusions that we care about at the moment, at the very least, are fire infusions, cryo infusions, and hydra infusions. However, Xiao, with his anemo infusion, can actually do something that not many characters can do, and that is keep an enemy with an elemental type indefinitely. Essentially, every time that Xiao triggers a swirl reaction, he applies the same element that he swirled with again. And what this does is that it refreshes the duration. Whenever you apply an element on a target, that element has a certain duration that it lasts on that. Xiao can infinitely refresh this duration on any enemy. This is going to be very good for him, because this means that he can take advantage of sets like the Thunder Sword set, as well as the Lava Walker set, without having to worry too much about refreshing these abilities. For this particular reason, I expect Xiao to use both of these artifact sets as one of the main ways of boosting his damage. The other artifact sets that I can see people using on Xiao in particular are going to be that of the Blizzard Walker set, as well as a two-piece combination of the Benarir set alongside Gladiators. Essentially, Xiao is a very specialized character that only wants to do damage. He is primarily a DPS character. All of his abilities do only damage. So with that in mind, we want to look for things that increase that damage to the highest level possible. In order to accomplish this, I've pretty much been looking through the entirety of the game, and I've been thinking about Xiao for quite a long time now, trying to figure out what's going to be the best thing to take advantage of his particular quirks. And with information that we recently got from MiHoYo, it does look like Xiao has a lot of tools that are going to be very, very powerful. I think starting with his normal attacks, the scaling on his normal attacks, at least from what we can see right now, is absolutely ridiculous. It is incredibly high, especially considering the amount of attack speed that he has as a spear user. Most of the attacks that I can see here scale insanely high, to the point that he almost feels like a claymore user rather than a spear user. He has that high of a scaling right now. Another thing that's really important to note when it comes to Xiao is that Xiao is very unique in that whenever he bursts, he has the ability to jump higher than other characters. This essentially allows him to have a permanent plunge attack that, while in the burst, has increased range and increased damage. This is something that you also have to keep in mind, because when it comes to Xiao's normal, charged, and plunge attacks, whenever you enter his burst, Bane of All Evil, you gain a massive bonus to them. So these already incredibly high scaling values that we see, at a minimum, you can add another 50% to them, and Xiao just gets that to his scaling. If we take into account a Xiao at level 6, while under Vein of All Evil, he's basically Razor. And it's kind of crazy to think about that, because he's a spear user. That means that he has access to all of the spears in the game. And spears have some of the best weapons, period. Xiao can take full advantage of that, and as a normal attack-centric character, he's probably the best one that we have right now. Even without seeing anything, with the values that we have right now, Xiao is definitely in the top tier when it comes to those type of characters. Now, scaling is not everything. It is incredibly important, but it's not everything. So just good scaling, while it will make a character good, of course it will, it doesn't mean that they'll be usable. I think one of the best examples of this is Lisa. Lisa has absolutely ridiculous scaling on her charge attacks, on her abilities, on her burst, but her animations are absolutely garbage, and they're not easy to use. Xiao does not have this problem. Most of all the attacks that Xiao has, the normal attacks that he has, they're AoE. And having AoE normal attacks, if people play with Noelle, you know exactly how powerful that can be. The second that you hit more than one enemy, your DPS just scales massively in comparison to what other characters can do. And Xiao being able to do this on every single one of his attacks is absolutely ridiculous. There's a lot of things to consider about Xiao. We've only talked about normal attacks so far, but the reality of the matter is that almost everything that you do, Xiao will gain a bonus for it. The one thing to keep in mind though is that he primarily deals anemo damage, and anemo is the hardest element to boost in the entire game. The only three things that we have that increase anemo damage are flat damage bonuses, the actual anemo damage increase that you can only get from the Goblet and the Menorier set, and anemo resistance reduction. Now, most elements have this, but the amount of characters that can apply these bonuses is incredibly limited, and it is also very expensive to get them to the point. Most anemo characters have a way of reducing anemo resistance. The thing is, for most characters like Venti, Jean, and even the Traveler, that is locked behind Constellation 6. So getting to that point is going to be insanely difficult, meaning that you really can't rely on these type of bonuses to increase your damage further. When we look at the other bonuses, flat damage bonuses, everybody has access to them. More than anything, the primary one that you're looking for is Mona. Mona has one of the highest flat damage bonuses in the game, so Mona's likely going to pair well with Xiao, but we'll talk about that later. There's not that many that you can stack, so while important to note, it's not the most important part. Flat anemo damage increase. For most other elements in the game, there are ways to increase the damage of anemo, or the damage of other elements, through different means. For Pyro, Electro, Hydro, and Cryo, we have the Archaic Petra, as well as other bonuses that can get applied from different characters. We do not have that for Xiao. Anemo does not have any innate ways of increasing the damage for anemo. The only characters that can reliably increase Xiao's damage via the anemo portion are the new version of Zhongli, which has an innate reduction, any of the characters that I mentioned that have reductions at C6, and that's it. This does not mean that Xiao is going to be bad, however, because Xiao has a lot of really powerful things that will help him scale really highly. It's just he won't scale as highly as what other options can accomplish. He will get numbers very close to what Ganyu can accomplish with his charge attacks. Definitely, more than likely, absolutely. With his plunge attacks, more than likely. My bad, I said charge. Will he get to the levels of Klee? Probably not. He does not have the same top-end potential that a lot of characters can have. He's not going to be hitting for 1,000,000 damage anymore. That's not the Xiao that we're going to be getting. The Xiao that we are going to be getting, however, is constantly going to be hitting for about 20,000, 30,000 even hits every couple seconds. And those are going to add up really, really quickly. That is the Xiao that we're currently getting. Now, With that out of the way, we have now determined that Xiao is absolutely a DPS character. He is gonna be good. There is absolutely zero doubt about that. What is gonna be the best things that we want on our Xiao? And I think the thing that we're gonna have to start with is gonna be team compositions. Because Xiao, he has a lot of damage, but a lot of that damage is scattered in a lot of different ways. So it's kind of hard to determine one factor that's the one that stands out the most, because every single part of the kit does its own separate thing. You're going to be using normal attacks a lot on Xiao, you're going to be charge attacking quite a lot on Xiao, and you're going to be plunge attacking quite a lot on Xiao. He's not a character that you can specialize on a single thing, because everything you're going to be using. You're going to be casting lemniscatic wind cycling constantly. And I almost forgot to mention, lemniscatic wind cycling, at the moment, is probably one of the stronger elemental skills that we have in the game, just pure damage. At level 6, at least from the data that I have, it's at 350% scaling, which is really, really high. That's getting to the same levels as the Traveler, and the Traveler has some of the highest elemental skill in the game. Elemental skill damage in the game. It's pretty crazy. In conjunction to that, we have actually already seen how much energy lemniscatic wind cycling does. It gives 4 energy orbs, and because it has 2 charges at base, you can spam both of them to just get a massive burst of energy at the start of a fight. It's a really, really good ability. And then, I mentioned Bane of All Evil slightly. I do want to mention it fully, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Bane of All Evil, what it does is that it works very similar to Sweeping Time for Noelle. It's essentially a self-buff. Whenever you activate Bane of All Evil, you get, at level 6, from the data that I have right now, a 77% damage increase to normal attack damage, charge attack damage, and plunging attack damage. This does, however, come at a cost. You lose percentage of your health for every second that you are in Bane of All Evil. And it's not a small amount. You lose a pretty big amount of it. The duration of the skill is 15 seconds, so if you survive for the entire duration, at level 6, you're going to be losing 2.5 per second. For the entire duration, you are losing 35% of your HP. That's not something to take lightly. If you stay on Bane of All Evil for too long, you will kill yourself. So you gotta keep that in mind. Xiao does require a healer because of this, because one of the things about Xiao is that you want to be in Bane of All Evil as much as possible. It looks like they also changed the cost of Bane of All Evil. I hadn't even noticed this. Right now it's sitting at 70, which is awkward. That's really high. I do hope that that part does go down, because 70 is pretty difficult to get. But yeah, that's Bane of All Evil. Let's go back to team compositions, because team is probably going to be the most important part when it comes to Xiao, for this very same reason that he requires a lot of attention. He does massive amounts of damage. He is incredibly good. But it's not free. He's going to be very demanding when it comes to skills, especially dodging, and opening up for opponents. You're not going to be able to just rush in and be safe. You're going to have to think really carefully about when your openings for attacks are going to be. Xiao, at the end of the day, is a melee character. And while his defenses are alright, just defense is not going to help you too much. His health is also okay. What you're really going to want to do is you want to make sure that Xiao is going to be as safe as possible in order to take advantage of his full damage. With that in mind, there's a couple characters that are pretty much going to be an absolute must for Xiao. The primary thing is you're going to need a healer. You're going to need a dedicated healer character if you want to play Xiao. If you play Xiao without a healer, you're not going to be able to go too far, because of the same thing that Bane of All Evil is just going to kill Xiao. the two characters that I think can accomplish this role the best are Barbara and Chi-Chi. I think Barbara is the better option, although Chi-Chi is the more consistent one. Mainly because Barbara can also act as a consistent elemental primer for the Hydro element. And this is something that's going to be very important for Xiao, because as we've mentioned, Xiao focuses on a lot of different things, and you want to increase the damage that Xiao does as high as possible. And because he's primarily an Anemo character, he can keep on refreshing the stats of elemental skills in order to get swirls that keep the element in its place. With this in mind, Electrocharge compositions with the Thunder Soother set would effectively give Xiao 100% uptime on the Thunder Soother set, meaning that Xiao would be able to have that bonus for the entire duration. This can also be done with the Lava Walker set if you're using Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi is probably better to use Chi-Chi with the Lava Walker set, or the Blizzard set. Blizzard might be better. There's a couple things we're going to talk about those, because those are the three sets that most people are going to be using on Xiao. You're going to be looking for Thunder Soother, you're going to be looking for Lava Walker, you're going to be looking for the Blizzard Walker, or if you don't have a proper team, I would recommend that you go for 2 Venereer, 2 Gladiator, but that is more like the starting out, getting Xiao to do things without putting too much investment. And well, I say too much investment, that's already a pretty hefty investment. That's going to be a theme that we're going to see with Xiao. While Xiao himself doesn't have that much of an investment requirement, because a lot of the things that we need for Xiao are actually very easy to get. In a very similar manner to Gan Yu, it's gonna be difficult to get a team that works well with him. Unless you take advantage of the new events that are going on. Because there is actually one team that I was able to make, for Xiao in particular, that uses pretty much entirely free-to-play characters. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Back to what you need for Xiao. When it comes to teams, you're going to want to focus your team on keeping Xiao's buffs active. You want to need a healer, and the 3 healers that I recommend are Chi-Chi, Barbara, and Bennett. I think those are the only 3 healers that can reliably help Xiao. Jean can also help, but the combination of these 2 is a bit awkward. It can work, it can definitely work. I would just prefer that you use something different. Yes, random dude, you're completely correct on that one. Xiao is incredibly selfish. When it comes to characters that you want to pair with Xiao, you need characters that can do a majority of their damage without needing much switch-ups. We do have a couple characters that can fit into that category, however, so it's not going to be that difficult. I think the main team that I see most people are going to be using for Xiao is going to be the following. Xiao, Barbara, either Baido or Fischl, and then whatever third character you have that can help Xiao survive. Ideally, you would want an Albedo or a Zhongli in that location. What are the benefits of having an Electrocharge composition for Xiao? The main benefits are that this allows the use of the Thunder Soother set. Electrocharge is going to be one of the more powerful combinations for Xiao in particular, because of the interaction that he has with Swirl. Swirl pretty much applies itself back and it refreshes the element. One of the important things about Electrocharge is that whenever you Electrocharge an enemy, while the enemy is being electrocuted, the Electro status remains, and it continues on it. The second proc reapplies the Electro status. Swirl, at that point, will reapply it again, effectively allowing you to keep an enemy completely shocked for the entire duration of whatever you're doing. This is incredibly good for Xiao because of the Thunder Soother set. This will increase his already really high damage even further. this is the main reason why I think Electric Charge is going to be the main thing that we're going to see on Xiao. Especially because a lot of the characters in here are free-to-play characters. Barbara, everybody has. And Bido is going to become a character that you can get for free during the new event. So if you're thinking about picking up Xiao, and you don't know what team to go for, this is probably the team that most people can afford. And that's the team that I'm going to recommend the most. You're either going to want Xiao, Barbara, Fishlord Bido, or both. That can also work. And whatever you want for your third character. I would recommend something that helps with shielding. Xinyan, Zhongli, Albedo. Xinyan only if she's at C2. So yeah, that is the team that I'm going to recommend. Is that the only team? No. I mentioned Qiqi a little bit ago, and Qiqi is a 5-star character, not everybody's going to have her. But Qiqi can enable Xiao to get a lot of really powerful damage bonuses that are not something to take too lightly. One of the things about Qiqi is that if we have Qiqi on our team, in conjunction with Xiao, we can effectively have a freeze composition that would allow Xiao to take advantage of the 40% extra crit from the Blizzard set. And I know this sounds crazy because Xiao is not gonna get any advantage from the 2-piece set from the Blizzard set. But if we pair Xiao with Qiqi and Xingqiu, we're gonna be getting 40% extra crit from the set. One of the things that makes Xiao incredibly powerful is that the hidden stat that everybody gets when they level up, Xiao's is crit rate. He has an innate 27% crit rate. Add on to that the Blizzard set, and you're already at 67% if you freeze an enemy. That's a lot of crit rate. And in much the same way as Gan Yu, this would allow you to focus entirely on crit damage, which is going to stack very heavily with what Xiao wants to do. Because again, we don't have elemental bonuses that we can apply for Xiao, so we're going to have to rely very heavily on crit. And the fact that Xiao, in conjunction with Qiqi, can accomplish this much crit is kind of insane. So that's going to be something else to keep in mind if you have Qiqi. If you do not have Qiqi, do not worry, Barbara is also there, and Barbara is probably going to be more consistent, if I'm being honest. Qiqi is going to be more of a high risk, high reward. You're going to need a lot of investment in order to make sure that you can keep up the energy recharge requirements, especially for Xingqiu. And you're probably going to have to run a sacrificial sword if you want to make this particular composition work. But it is the one that has the highest ceiling. Let's see, let me take a look at the questions real quick. Venti, but can they be a good team with other supports? That one's gotta depend very heavily. If enemies caught in Venti Burst can be hit by Xiao's plunge attacks, they might actually pair really well. Because one of the things about Venti is that he generates a massive amount of energy. His elemental skill is on a very low cooldown, and it generates the maximum amount of energy orbs. The burst is really powerful as well, as it groups up everybody. And pairing them both with characters that have really high damage could definitely work. It's not a bad idea. If you're going to be trying for this, I think the best combo is probably going to be going with like the Fire Lake composition, which is Bennett, Mona, and then whatever Anemo character, in this case Venti, and then just have Xiao as your primary character. But even that feels more centered for boss fights. I think you'll get more mileage out of using a different character in that location. Can they work? Yeah, definitely. They can absolutely work. If you want to have both of them on the same team, there's no problem with that. You'll destroy everything. It's just you'll be more efficient searching for different alternatives, for different things. Does that matter? Not really. If you have it fun, that's all that really matters. When it comes to plunge attacks, they have a lot of very interesting interactions. I know that one of the things about plunge attacks is it doesn't matter how far you go. I think the thing that's important is how fast you're going. And I don't know how to increase that, and nor do I know how to decrease that. And it does seem like sometimes you get double damage from them. I have not been able to test them out properly. Mainly because of the same reason that there's not many characters that can take full advantage of them. So it's kind of hard to do tests without them. But now that we're going to have Xiao, we can probably do a couple more in-depth tests when Xiao actually releases. Xiao is probably the best Anemo. Jean is probably the best Anemo character for Xiao, yeah. That is probably going to be the case. I don't think combining Xiao with other Nemo characters is going to be that beneficial, though. The only real benefits that you get for this is energy generation. And you get the cooldown for the elemental resonance, but that's not really that much. And movement speeds, yes, it's important, but it's not going to be game-changing for Xiao, who's already really, really fast, especially with lemniscatic wind cycling. I think you're losing too much by putting Xiao with a secondary Anemo character for it to be a worthwhile investment. If anything, I would rather you place him with a Geo character that can give him crystallized shields in order to stay alive. That might be a better time. That might be a better point for you. It's kind of hard. It's really hard when it comes to Xiao, because he needs a healer, and there's not many healers that actually benefit him. The only two that properly accomplish that role is Chi-Chi and Barbara. Bennett can also work, but the thing about Bennett is he only heals with his burst, and his burst you have to stay in a stationary place. Xiao's entire thing is that he's mobile, that he moves around the battlefield a lot, especially with lemniscatic wind cycling. So if you're using Bennett with Xiao, you're probably going to have to restrain yourself a lot, and you're not going to be able to play the character as it's supposed to be played. It can definitely work though, so that's one of the reasons why I'm putting Bennett. Again, he's Bennett. He increases the attack of everybody, and Xiao loves that. Zhongli is probably going to become one of the best supports in the game. I think as it stands right now, at C0, it's probably a competition between Zhongli and Albedo. Both of them provide an insane amount of support. It's kind of hard to see which one's going to be better. I think Zhongli is the one that's coming out higher. When you start taking into consideration constellations, that changes quite drastically. But at C0, it's probably Zhongli or Albedo. And which one's better probably depends entirely on your team composition. Those two have my bet for most effective C0 supports. All the salty people saying that Zhongli was designed to be a support. Well, here's the thing: he wasn't designed to be a support. All of his supporting capabilities came entirely with the buffs. There is not a single thing that Zhongli is able to do now before the patch that would allow him to be a support. It's only after the buffs that he's going to be a support. So they don't really have a point, but at the same time, it is undeniable that after the buffs, he is one of the best supports. I still think he's a better DPS if you want me to be realistic, because one of the things about the Zhongli buff is that the elemental resistance is in all elemental resistance. Or elemental reduction, my bad. It applies to every single element, and I've already talked about this part before, but if you have 4 characters of a different element, and then you have Zhongli as your main physical DPS, that means that Zhongli's shield is increasing the overall, the entire team's DPS by 20%. That is a massive buff. That is insanely massive. When you take into account a lot of the buffs that we have right now, they only apply to a single character. So only a single portion of your 4-piece team is getting that boost. With Zhongli, everyone is getting that boost. But yeah, that's entirely after the buffs. And it's important to discuss them because we're going to be getting them in a couple days. Zhongli is very, very powerful now. In pretty much any role that you place him, he is insane. The fact that he's Geo also helps in this scenario quite a lot, because he's Geo, he'll just synergize really well with almost everybody. Zhongli DPS does require the Elemental Resonance. It's not a must-have, but the efficiency that you gain from having it is so much higher that I would 100% recommend that if you're using Zhongli as a main DPS, you 100% pair him with another character that's Geo. My recommendation would be Ningguang or the Traveler. Both of them are insanely powerful. Definitely go for those two. But, off topic. Getting back to Xiao. Xiao. He's really powerful. Back on board with the Chi-Chi team, essentially what you're going to be doing if you have a Chi-Chi and you're planning for go for Xiao is you're more than likely going to be picking Xingqiu as your character that you're going to be getting from the free event. The main reason for this is once you activate Chi-Chi's Herald of Frost, you'll be able to keep an enemy with the Frost element pretty much for the entire duration of Bane of All Evil, because of the same thing that it reapplies the element whenever you swirl. If we combine this interaction with Xingqiu, who is constantly going to be activating his Guhua Ring Cutter, the highest elemental damage skill in the game, I have to reiterate, of which Xiao can proc pretty much the maximum amount of damage due to how fast he attacks. These two characters together are probably going to be the strongest combo for Xiao, period. They're very expensive, however, so you're going to have to keep this in mind. This particular combo of Xiao, Chi-Chi, Xingqiu is insanely expensive. Xingqiu and Chi-Chi are going to need the sacrificial swords. Both of them are going to need one. And Xiao himself is going to need very high investments into the Blizzard Walker set. So it's not a cheap build. This is definitely something that you're gonna have to craft during a very long time. You need 2 5-star characters and Xingqiu. You can choose a free character, yes, that is correct. In the upcoming event, we are going to be getting an event where you can choose 1 4-star character from Liyue, specifically from Liyue. The options that we have are Ningguang, Xiangling, Chongyun, Xingqiu, Baido, and I think I'm missing one, but I don't remember off the top of my head, so I'm gonna have to apologize. It's a really good event. I'm probably gonna be picking Ningguang because I'm really close to getting Majesty of the 7 Stars, the C6, and I really want to get that for my Ningguang. But as far as what people should be picking up, specifically for Xiao, if you're planning on Xiao, if you have Chi-Chi, I will recommend Xingqiu. If you do not have Chi-Chi, I will recommend that you go for Baido. Because that way you'll be able to have a really good team for Xiao in either scenario. As far as the last character that you want, it's kind of interesting that we've been talking about Zhongli, because I feel Zhongli is actually going to be one of the best supports for Xiao in that same aspect. Mainly because of the resistance reduction. Again, it's a mass resistance reduction. It's really powerful. And the shielding that Zhongli can provide is also going to help quite a lot. And if you're using Zhongli in conjunction with the Chi-Chi team, which is the Xingqiu team, you can also increase Xingqiu's already really high damage with the Archaic Petra set. So, perfect team for Xiao. The one that I'm looking at is Xiao as the main DPS, Chi-Chi as a dedicated healer, Xingqiu as a burst support, and then Zhongli as a secondary burst support with a little bit of energy. He also has the shield, which is kind of important. He's very powerful when it comes to buffs. That's what I'm expecting to be the best team just in general, for everything, the team that I expect most people are going to use is probably going to be Xiao, Barbara, either Baido or Fischl, and whatever fourth character they can accomplish. I feel these are the two teams that most people are going to gravitate towards. As far as the Chi-Chi team is going to have the Blizzard Walker set, and the Barbara team is going to have Thunder Soother as the main artifact set. Now we'll have to talk about him with every new character. Probably not, in all honesty. I think Xiao's already pretty much settled into what he's going to be able to do. Unless we get like an insane character that has ridiculous interactions with Swirl, it's unlikely that there's going to be that many characters that can actually support Xiao. Most of those characters that can support him are only able to do so because of generic buffs. Barbara, powerful healer that has Hydro Elemental Primer capabilities. Baido, really powerful Elemental Primer that has mitigation on the kit, which helps Xiao survive alongside a shield if you ever at higher seas, at higher constellations. Fischl's just Fischl. It's kind of hard to say no to Fischl. Zhongli and Mona. No, I mentioned Zhongli and Mona. I think Zhongli is probably going to be best suited for either team, in all honesty. Mona is also going to be really, really powerful, especially in the Barbara team. I think Barbara team is probably going to be the better one for Mona. Either or is going to be really good. So those are the teams that I expect Xiao to work really well with. There's also a possibility for you to pair him with Bennett, but again, as I mentioned earlier, pairing him with Bennett is going to be very difficult because Bennett requires a lot of energy and a lot of energy recharge in order to keep his burst active constantly, and it's gonna be hard to accomplish that with a character as selfish as Xiao, because you're not gonna have enough time to generate energy with Bennett. Bennett has the highest energy generation in the entire game, but just nobody even compares to what he can accomplish. The thing is, he has to be on the field for that. In 18 seconds, he makes 18 energy orbs. Well, realistically, it's more like 14 because that's the duration of the burst. But he has to be on the field for the entire duration. Does he pair well with Xiao? Yes, because Bennett is Bennett. He increased attack power at every single character, DPS-centric at least, except maybe Hu Tao. Really benefits from the attack boost. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. Xiao is gonna be really powerful. Really, really powerful. He's gonna be very free-to-play friendly. And even for people that want to spend more money, he's gonna be bringing a lot to the table. I think when it comes to characters, he's gonna be one of the harder ones to play, but he's gonna be one of the easiest ones to get a team around. That's more or less what we're gonna be seeing for Xiao. His teams are gonna be pretty well defined, and they're gonna need a pretty massive focus on survivability, as well as a bit of damage bonuses. And you're gonna need a lot of moving pieces in order to make Xiao work. I think he's powerful enough to the point where as soon as you get him, he's gonna be immediately beneficial. It's gonna take a lot of investment for you to get him to the point where he's gonna be killing everything. Then again, that investment is not super difficult to get, mainly because out of the 4 pieces, 2 or even 3 of them are going to be given to you for free. Eventually, you're going to be able to upgrade to better pieces. And when it comes to weapons, Xiao can basically use every single spear in the game effectively. I think every single 5-star that you get, Xiao is going to be able to use them all to an exceptional level. With no exception, all of the 5-star spears are absolutely insane, and every single one of them will fit Xiao perfectly. And on the 4-star department, almost every single spear also benefits Xiao in this department. He can probably use the Crescent Pike to a decent amount. Probably not the best spear. I would recommend Prototype Grudge if you're going that route. If you're going for the craftable options, Prototype Grudge is likely going to be the best case scenario. Mainly because Limited Static Wind Cycling has 2 charges to it, which means you can get the full stack of Prototype Grudge, or Star Glitter as it's called now. I'm going to keep on calling it Grudge. It's going to be my Grudge. But yeah, that's what it comes to weapons. Almost every single weapon is going to be beneficial for Xiao. Beneficial. Yeah, I mean, those two have an insane combination together. As far as the most standout options, or the ones that you're looking for, every 5-star in the game, every spear 5-star in the game, doesn't matter which one, all of them will do incredibly well. If we're looking for the highest value one, I think that's probably going to be the Primordial Spear, the Primordial Jade Spear. I think that's going to be the highest value, but every single one is going to be OP on them. As far as 4-stars are concerned, Prototype Grudge from the craftable option, that's probably going to be Xiao's best option from that list. Then from the, in general, Black Cliff Pole is the one that I'm looking at the most. Especially if you're going for the crit rate build with Chi-Chi. Those are probably the options that you're gonna be looking for. Prototype Grudge, Black Cliff Pole, any 5-star. Deathmatch is also really, really good. The increase in damage is really powerful, and the defense, while not super noticeable, it does come up. It does come up. I would prefer the Black Cliff Pole just because it's easier to get, and I don't have to wait. I don't have to pay as well. I don't have to pay $75 in order to get a fully refined deathmatch. But yeah, that pretty much covers artifacts, team compositions, and weapon choices. So we're pretty much done when it comes to Xiao. He is very clearly going to be one of the more powerful DPS characters that we're going to have in this game. Do I think he's going to be the most powerful? No, definitely not. I think he's going to be, if I'm being realistic, probably a niche DPS character. In the future. Right now, everybody's going to get him. He is very generic in a lot of scenarios, but he is insanely effective. And because his playstyle is fast and mobile, it's probably going to be really fun to play. So I don't think it's going to be bad by any means. It's going to be a good character to have. If you can get Xiao, it's unlikely that he's ever going to drop out of favor, because his kit is just very simple. It's entirely damage focused, and the only way that he falls off a favor is if they suddenly add an emo boss that's immune to all of Xiao's attacks. That's the only way that Xiao is not going to be effective. Just wait a few days, his ult modifier will get double just so that he lives up to the hype. It might. I don't think it will. I'm pretty sure they're a bit too scared for Xiao breaking the game for that to happen. It's probably gonna go up though. I do think that if they do anything, it's probably gonna be the burst. Either the burst or Limited Static Wind Cycling getting lower cooldown. I just realized while the chat was having conversation regarding beneficial. I don't think I want to know about this conversation, so we're going to leave that one on the NSFW chat for the Discord. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and let's move over to Q&A. Let's see. Hey, Miss Portals, are going to make a quick summary thought video on the full Zhongli buff notes, in case there's more, or just differing buffs. Has that been released yet? Have they shown the official patch notes, or have they confirmed that what they originally said is what we're going to be keeping? I do plan on doing like a full analysis on Zhongli version 2.0. I was gonna call it Zhongli out of beta finally. So I do plan on reviewing Zhongli again. You don't have to worry about that one. That is gonna happen. Don't worry about it, Nut. I have no worries about it. Let's stop with this conversation, shall we? When it comes to the things for 1.3, I do plan on doing a full review of Zhongli again. Pretty much, he is pretty much a new character. He's entirely different from what we saw on the current Zhongli that we have right now. He is gonna be a new character. His DPS potential is more or less gonna be what I originally imagined when we first saw the leaks for Zhongli. His support potential is it exists for once, and it's actually good to the point where it's probably one of the better supports in the game. That resistance reduction is massive. It is the biggest resistance reduction we have in the entire game. As I mentioned before, it is effectively a 20% damage increase, but not to one character, to the entire team. It's not a small buff, and the changes that were made to the shield make it incredibly consistent, to the point where using the shield doesn't mean you lose energy anymore because you make a pillar at the same time, and then the shield changes makes it so that all the health that it has is effective health, in addition to all the changes that were given that increase it even further, and then we add on top of that the damage boost that we got for Geo. Zhongli is an insane character right now. I still think that his best role is main DPS. You can 100% use him as support and he will fit really, really well. It's just that when it comes to the DPS role, there's very few characters that match up to him. So there's very few reasons why you would use Zhongli as a support. The few that I can actually imagine out DPSing him are Xiao for once, Klee, maybe Diluc. I have to run the numbers. Probably Diluc. I don't even think Racer compares to him anymore. I think he might have DPS Racer. I'm gonna have to look at the numbers. I hope the pillar doesn't eat up aura anymore. You make a fair point. I think the pillar is going to eat up elemental reactions. That is something that's probably gonna happen. Mr. Portal's got with just a video the full Zhongli community of subscribers. Yeah, probably. I'm really happy about the community that we've started forming. I think it's a really nice community, and I want to keep it that way. Even if it doesn't grow that much, it doesn't matter too much for me. I'm really enjoying what's happening here. It is very frustrating to have that sort of element come back at you, because it's consistent geo damage. So for once, it's really powerful crystallized reactions, but if you're trying to use it on characters that really require that aura element, for example, Ganyu, melt characters, or vaporize-centered characters, which are one of the more common things that you want to bring in Abyss, it does get annoying. So I can see where that's coming from. I still think that Zhongli provides enough benefits to counteract that, because you can always just give him the Archaic Petroset and that's 35% extra damage bonus. Melt is probably better. Melt is definitely better. But it mitigates it at the very least. I'm pretty sure Zhongli is going to be the best physical DPS, but will get outdone by Ganyu, Diluc, Klee, Xiao, and maybe even Child. Yeah, more than likely. More than likely. Zhongli is probably I'm gonna go ahead and say most certainly the best DPS character, just because that's how powerful the Crescent Pike is. I'm pretty sure Razor's not gonna be able to compare, especially now that he has a physical resistance reduction on the kit, in conjunction with the 15% extra damage from the Geo Resonance, alongside the Bow Light set, alongside his insanely powerful charge attack, which got buffed, by the way. Zhongli is crazy. Zhongli is absolutely insane. Zhongli is... he's at least at the level of Razor. I'm pretty confident in saying that he's probably better than Razor. I already... When I made my first Zhongli video, I had already mapped out the numbers, and that version of Zhongli was already better than Razor. In most scenarios, Razor did out-DPS him in certain niche cases, but for most consistency, the beta version of Zhongli, or the alpha I guess, was better than Razor mathematically. This new version that we have is significantly, and I mean significantly, stronger than that version. So I have no doubt in my mind that Zhongli is without a doubt the best physical DPS we have in the game. We're gonna have. The ultimate artifact Zhongli. By losing one party member, you can use this artifact. That's the current state. Once the buffs hit, my god, that character is ridiculous. You forgot that Keqing existed? Keqing is really, really good. A lot of the reasons why people want to use physical Keqing is mainly because her charge attacks are incredibly powerful. The Keqing's charge attacks are ridiculously quick, and they deal massive amounts of damage because of the way that they come out. You can cancel them really effectively as well. So that's one of the reasons why Keqing is very powerful in the physical department. I still think the Electro version is better, just because you can stack more multipliers that way. Then again, the physical multiplier, you can also stack Superconduct, which is something you can't do with the Electro version. It's just the Electro version is more consistent. I think the physical version, the physical variant of Keqing does more damage, but the electric version is more consistent and has more interactions with Electro Charge and all of that good stuff, so I find it to be more effective. Imagine if Keqing, Bido, and Fischl were Pyro. Oh my god, imagine a Pyro Bido. A lot of people don't realize just how insane Bido is. A Pyro Bido would probably break the game. I think a Pyro Bido would probably be the most powerful character in the game. Tidecaller is a ridiculous ability when at full charge, and Stormcaller, if that was Pyro, how powerful would that be? It would still be really good. I don't think it would be as powerful as it is right now, but just the ability itself does significant amount of damage. Tidecaller would be absolutely insane if it was Pyro. A streamer did a glitch and his Keqing was doing Pyro damage. That's funny. That is hilarious. A Pyro Lisa would be insane as well. I really like Lisa's design, it's just her abilities are way too slow. I think if they just made Lisa's E like an instant cast, or that you could charge it beforehand, or even give it some form of an instant cast that's not locked behind constellations, Lisa would probably be a top tier character. Unfortunately, she's not. So we're just gonna have to wait and see if something happens to her. If Fischl was Pyro, oh boy, that would be terrifying. That would be pretty terrifying. I kind of like Fischl being Electro though. I think she has more utility that way. She would definitely have a lot more damage as a Pyro character, but I find her utility in Electro is probably better, if I'm being honest. What if they made a Pyro Ganyu Oh, Amber. Memes aside, a pyro version of Ganyu would actually be kind of insane. She would be able to use the Crimson Witch set, which would boost her damage quite significantly. Melt would become more powerful than it already is, and her crit damage bonuses would just be insane. Will they ever fix Amber? I'm hoping they will. I don't think they will. Oh, a Pyro Barbara would be interesting. Especially for Hydro-centered compositions. That could be really good. I hope we eventually get one of that. Something like that. Xin Yan's already really good for that, but the thing about Pyro as a primer element is that we don't have that many characters that take advantage of it. I think Mona and Tartaglia are probably the only two that make full advantage of it. Xingqiu, he does a lot of damage, but that's because he does a lot of instances of damage, not because he has a single hit that does a lot. It's just he hits so many times, that's why he has a lot of power. Later on, we're probably going to get a lot better characters that can take full advantage of a Pyro Barbara. And eventually, we're probably going to get a character, a Pyro healer, that's a dedicated healer. We're going to have to see, though. Pyro Barbara applying Pyro to herself. Huh. Yeah, you make a fair point. I hope that, that's definitely one of the things that's kind of annoying about Barbara. The fact that she can freeze herself constantly. I'm kinda hoping that eventually MiHoYo changes that. I don't think they will. I hope they do. I don't think they will. I know that, during the week, somebody was mentioning about, an interaction with Iona that prevented Barbara from being frozen, and after I did a bit of testing, that it does happen, it does work. But that's just because the way that Diona's shield is coded is that it has a... Whenever you switch in to Diona, or whenever a character gets the shield applied to it, they get a incredibly small cryo element applied to them. It is incredibly small, but it has a lot of benefits to it. One of the things that it can do is that it can cleanse... It can cleanse elements. But one of the reasons why you don't get frozen when you activate Diona's shield is because Diona's shield is coded to prevent that from happening. Specifically, so that Diona doesn't become another Barbara. That is something that developers put in purpose in order to make Diona better. I'm hoping that eventually that happens to Barbara. I don't think it will. So yeah, for people wondering, if you have Diona's shield active, as long as the shield is alive, you cannot get frozen by any means. Get ready for Overloaded. I hope not. One of the things that I was testing as well is I was testing to see if Xin Yan triggered overloaded reactions, because while I was testing, I thought it did. I have a clip of me getting overloaded to oblivion, which was what made me think that you could get overloaded with Xin Yan's shield. It turns out that you can't. As long as the shield is active, you can't get overloaded. I was testing it out, and the one thing that I was testing is I was testing to see if the shield took damage whenever I took the overloaded reaction, and it didn't. Which means that Xin Yan's shield, it applies the overloaded status, but it doesn't actually do damage. And I'm not sure if that was a glitch or not, but that appears to be the case. And I don't have enough testing to do that right now. If somebody could test that out, I would really appreciate it if you could do that. Let's see, do you feel if overloaded caused knock-up with fall damage instead of knockback, it'd be a better damage element? That might be a lot better, yeah. One of the things about overloaded is that it has insane damage potential. It is, well, now the second. Electric Charge is the first now. It is now the second highest scaling elemental reaction in the game, but it knocks enemies away. So if your enemy gets knocked away, that means that you have to chase them, and you have to waste time chasing them, which reduces the overall DPS. So while the damage is really high, it only really becomes effective against things like bosses that can't be knocked away by it. If that were to change, and they were to make it that they were blown up and then fall back down with fall damage, it would probably depend on the animation. If the animation takes too long, it's probably going to end up being the same deal. If it's quick though, I can see that being significantly better. Oh god, if Xiao was Hydro, my god, if Xiao was Hydro, Xin Yan C2 with a Hydra Xiao, that would be like the best thing in the game. Then he would be Child. He'd be much better than Child. A Hydra Xiao would be insane. One of the reasons is lemniscatic wind cycling. Lemniscatic wind cycling has insanely high scaling, and getting that with a vaporize proc is gonna hurt. In addition to that, I guess at that point Xiao could then use the Heart of the Deep, which is another set that I was looking into for Xiao. I'm not sure if it's going to be that effective, mainly because of the cooldown. You can apply 2 stacks, which apparently stack, by the way, I was not aware of that, to get a, 60% damage bonus to both his normal attacks and charge attacks. That could be something to keep in mind for Xiao as well. The one thing, and the reason why I don't recommend that one in particular, is because you wouldn't be able to keep it up permanently unless you have the C1. I'm gonna have to do tests, because I feel that a Xiao with the C1, with 3 charges of lemniscatic wind cycling and Heart of the Deep, could be a realistic strategy for boss killing. But that's something that I'm gonna have to test out. I can't say it just with numbers alone. Hydra Buff, make enemies slippery and they fall each step for 20k fall damage. That would be funny. I'm kinda hoping that we eventually get an event where just random things happen, where we get random events like that for like April Fools or something. That would be pretty funny, similar to what we see with April Fools Minecraft updates. It works on Duvalin. There's a lot of things that we don't know about Xiao, and I'm both excited and mortified to see how he's gonna end up becoming. Mortified because that is a lot of things that I'm gonna have to test. Excited because there are gonna be interesting things that could be a lot of fun to try out. But yeah, with that out of the way, I think we're pretty much getting close to the point where I'm gonna be ending the stream. I do plan on having another stream on Monday, another one of Ark. I had a lot of fun during that stream, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people that went into that one also had a lot of fun with it. I have been working on getting the Wyvern spread that we have. I have been breeding those Wyverns and trying to get mutations to a ridiculous amount, and I might have gone a bit overboard. Because what I've been doing is I've been leaving the Xbox on, and then just going AFK in a safe area. Then when I come back, I sift through all the eggs that they laid, and I look for mutations. I might have gone a bit crazy with mutations. So that's gonna be something to look forward to. Just as a heads up, I've killed over 10,000 wyverns. That's how many I've killed. But yeah. One last question. I just want to ask again about getting an Arcane to every gang for the Discord. I don't know how that would work. I would probably have to make the Archons moderators. That might be something that I might think about doing eventually. I think the community is a bit too small at the moment for that to be a necessity. But that's kind of what I'm thinking about doing. that if I make a moderator, I'm probably just gonna name them an Archon. Yeah. Yeah. I wish I was lying. I really wish I was lying. I'm not. I have killed 10,000 wyverns. I'm pretty sure the Xbox is turned on right now. Let me see if I can quickly just take a snapshot of what I'm doing. 1 second. See, the thing is, I changed the settings on the server, on the single-player server, to make it so that the hatch time for the eggs is much, much lower. It's pretty much instant at this point. It takes like a second for the egg to hatch. And since I've been leaving the Xbox on for a very, very long time, the wyverns just kept on laying eggs, and I have 15 wyverns that lay eggs at the moment. So... alright, let's see. Oh boy. Let's see, can you guys see the stream? Alright, can you guys see? It's probably incredibly laggy. Oh my god, it is very laggy. Yeah, I still need to breed the mutations together. They're not. I'm not even close to done. It's not even near. But I went insane when it comes to color mutations. Yeah. So as you can see, this is what happens with like an hour of me letting the server up. The server has been running for like 42 hours or so. So yeah. There have been a lot of wyverns that have died, and I might have gone a bit crazy when it comes to color mutations. I have made a lot of color mutations. This one over here is my favorite so far. It's Little White. She is max level, by the way. That's how many wyverns I've killed. Let me go ahead and see how much experience she has. That is... that is 3 million experience. She has 3 million experience. But yeah, I might have gone a bit crazy. I made Geo Dragons over here. These are the Geo Wyverns. This is the second breed, which were darker. Let me see if I can... I'm moving the controller with one hand, so this is not easy. So this is the second set of the Geo Wyverns that I was breeding. I really like these. I have, yeah. These are just like the ones that I have the most, that I just have right here. I have, the Royal Dragons over there. The Dual Dragons over here, which are white and black. I think these ones are my favorite by far. If I'm gonna make an army of wyverns, this is probably the one that I'm gonna be making as the wyvern army. Over here we have another mutation that we got. Essentially the gray wyvern, the black wyvern, the white wyvern with pink wings, which I think looks pretty nice. Over here, I'm pretty sure this is my newest mutation stack. I have to take a look into that in a bit. I had to put that into breeding. This is one of the mutations that I made. I'm not in I'm not in health mutation anymore. I think my current mutation for health is like 12. We have more wyverns over here. We have the entire list of the white wyverns that I ended up getting. Then we have over here a complete collection of black wyverns with different wings and different styles. So we have black and purple, and whenever it's night, they all glow with the color they have. This one is blue. Black and blue, and you can barely see it in the nighttime, but the accents are actually blue, and they glow in the night really, really well. Then over here we have black and red. I think these looks really, really good. And then I think the last one that I went with is pure black over here. Black and purple. So yeah, might have gone a bit crazy when it comes to the mutations. Imagine if wyvern farming had a resin system. Frame rate is in the negative right now. There are a lot of eggs in the server. I need to desperately get rid of some of them. Like, desperately. I'm probably gonna do it after the stream ends. But as you can see, I've been a bit busy when it comes to wyvern breeding. And especially in this area over here, it's kinda ridiculous. I'm pretty sure that as it stands right now, I'm currently at 25 mutations. I just started the melee mutations. This is a 2 melee. Just gonna make kibble with the eggs. I've been deleting them. I've just been eating them in order to get rid of the ones that I don't need anymore. And then over here we have a stamina mutation, which is all the way up to 11. And then over here, this is our health mutation that's all the way up to 12. So in total we have 25 mutations right now. And my goal is to get the stamina and the health mutation to 40, and then get the melee to at least 10, and then whatever weight we get. I'm probably going to combine both of them after that and then just leave it as is. Yeah, this is... I might have gone a bit overboard. I might have gone a bit overboard, if I do say so myself. But we ended up with some really nice wyverns. I'm not entirely sure which one we're actually going to be using. I'm probably going to leave that to a straw poll at some point or another. The only one that I know is I want this one for myself. I want this coloring for myself. And then I want to make an army of these ones. So these ones are definitely going to get an army. As far as which one of the other ones are, I'll probably leave that for a straw poll. I don't know. We'll see. But with that out of the way, this is a war crime. This is a wyvern fetish. This is most certainly a war crime. This is most certainly a war crime. I am not even gonna lie about this one. I have murdered a lot of wyverns in order to get this far. And I don't plan on stopping. But essentially, we're probably gonna end up just with 2 or 3, more than likely. I might leave some outside for decoration. Literally for decoration. But yeah, we're probably gonna deal with that next stream. As for that, we're probably gonna be ending the stream here. So, if you enjoyed, several policies in the Geneva Convention. You mean the Geneva Suggestion? Just rename your YouTube channel into Natural Selection. Not inaccurate. Not inaccurate. But yeah, I essentially wanted to go this far because we're going to be taking the Blood Crystal Wyverns to extinction at some point. And I want to have as good a Wyvern as I can possibly get, because I know that extinction is going to be really, really hard, especially when it comes to orbital supply drops and all of that stuff. So I want to get as good a wyvern as I possibly can in order to be able to do all of that. I also want to fight the Alpha King Titan, or not the Alpha King Titan, the Beta King Titan with wyverns. So we're going to be using the Blood Crystal wyverns to do that. And because I didn't want to use just one color of wyvern, I wanted to use at least 2 or 3. I started color mutations, and then I went overboard. I definitely went overboard. But with that out of the way, that's something that we're gonna have to deal with next stream. This one's pretty much gonna be over. If you enjoyed, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Portals.